It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. Thank you so much. I wish I could tell you about the first time I heard that song. I wish I could wax poetic about how it moved me to become an activist and how it spurred on my work and my service, but you know, I really can't do that. And then when I think about it, I don't know if I can do that for any of the music that has served as my creative point of reference, because that would be kind of like me trying to explain to you about the first day I took a breath on this planet. Because for me, music has always been. So has race and culture and religion. And I remember all of these times, and I flash back to them today because my family is back in Tennessee right now, and I know they're singing. That's what they're doing. But I remember those times watching my family move with such fluidity through our music, through our culture, through our religion, singing and preaching and praying and testifying. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about. You know, and I think about that, but I remember on one occasion, and I like to share this story because it informs my performance practice so much. I was having a conversation with my grandfather, and I was sharing with him some of the work that I was doing across the world with gospel choirs, showing him choirs from Australia and Japan and different places like that. You know, and as grandfathers do, he kind of looked at me and he said, "Son, is that what you've been doing for work for the last 20 years? Because that's what he wanted to know. Are you making money at it? And, you know, I kind of chuckled. I said, "Yes, sir, that's what I've been doing." And mind you, most of these choirs that I've dealt with were, you know, wasn't a lot of black people in the choirs. So he wasn't used to seeing gospel music like that. But then he took a second look and then he turned to me again. He said, "Son, you keep on doing what you're doing." So I had to ask him why. And then what he said then has influenced my music making greatly. And he said, "Son," he said, "you're doing a good thing." He said, "because that music and our experiences were never meant to be just for us." And so when I think about what that says to me about music and songs, it tells me that songs are much more than just these momentary outbursts of creativity. They're much more than that. A song is a window into someone's spirit, into their soul, into what they're thinking, their emotions, their intellect. Songs can be powerful tools and in a flash bring people into community. And you know what? I like the stories around songs because those stories just kind of weave their way and wind their way down through history until they find themselves a place in the heart of the ever-emerging story of humanity. Now, that song that I did in the beginning, "A Change Is Gonna Come," is like that. It was 1963 and Sam Cooke was traveling through Louisiana. He arrived at his hotel and he was turned away from his hotel by the receptionist who refused to honor his reservation because at the time that he made it over the phone, they did not know he was black. And I can imagine that a righteous rage kind of began to swell up in Sam Cooke. You know, that kind of rage that only the sting of discrimination and oppression can induce. That kind of rage. And in that moment, he committed himself to write a song to tell the story of what he had experienced and the story of the people that were with him. And so he took this song, he wrote this song and put it on what would be his last album in 1964 called Ain't That Good News. An album that shares the title with a traditional African-American spiritual that bears the same name. I got a home up in that kingdom, ain't that good news? I got a home up in that kingdom, ain't that good news? I'm gonna lay down this world, shoulder up of my cross, gonna take it home to my Jesus, ain't that good news? And as you can see, Sam Cooke drew a lot of his creative inspiration from the spirituals. And if you listen really closely, you can hear songs hiding in those melodies that he wrote. And if you watch his performances, you can see and hear those millions and millions of stories in every slur and every moan and every groan and every bend of a note. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child, a long way from home, a long way from home. But like I said, that story around those songs, it never goes along a straight path. And there's a story behind this story, one that orbits around a song that looms very large in the American Civil Rights Songbook. And that's a song called Blowin' in the Wind by Bob Dylan. Again, it was 1963, the same year of the hotel incident for Sam Cooke, when he heard Blowin' in the Wind for the first time. Now, Bob Dylan said Blowin' in the Wind was a spiritual. He said that because he borrowed it from an old spiritual that said, no more auction block for me, many thousand gone. He said that that Blowin' in the Wind song follows the same feeling of those spirituals. So when I think about it, Dylan and Cooke shared a creative mission. And that doesn't surprise me because they were drawing their spiritual inspiration from the same trough. They were getting it from the same place. Historians said that when Sam Cooke heard that song, he was jarred. He was so moved that such a poignant song about American racism could be written by someone that was not black, that he incorporated that song into his repertoire immediately and started to sing it. But on top of that, he vowed to write a song as powerful and as meaningful and as moving. He wrote A Change Is Gonna Come in response to Dylan's Blowin' in the Wind. Now let's think about this. Baha'u'llah, the prophet founder of the Baha'i faith, ask us a question in his hidden words. He says, know ye not why we created you all from the same dust? A lot of times we don't ask the question, we kind of say it as a statement, but I'm asking the question. And in characteristic form, Baha'u'llah answers his own questions just in case you don't get the point. Y'all feel me? I'm glad he does that because sometimes I get a little dense and I want to believe what I want to believe, but that's okay. He says, know ye not why we created you all from the same dust, so that no one would exalt himself over the other. Then he tells us to do something, to think about something. He says, ponder at all times in your heart how you were created. And since we have created you all from one same substance, it is incumbent upon you to be even as one soul, walk with the same feet, eat with the same mouth, and dwell in the same land. Now, when I think about the interaction, the cultural interaction between these two songs, I can see that sentiment reflected in that confluence, in that flowing through. Because here you have this white brother, Bob Dylan, right? Yeah, he's white. If I got to back up the picture just so you know, because that's significant. That is significant. You know, I'm not colorblind. I'll tell you that right now. I'm brown. I like being brown. And I like all the different shades of humanity that I see in here today. No, yeah, you can applaud yourself for that. But it was very significant that you see this white brother that is borrowing and building songs around the traditions of Black Americans that are so moving and so powerful and so revolutionary that they inspired a son of slavery, a child of a mobbed, murdered, and massacred people to keep singing. Now you think about that. Frederick Douglass was on a ferry one day, and he was a prominent abolitionist. They were riding through the North. Frederick Douglass had to sleep on the top in the storms in the wintertime. He said, I never faulted my co-abolitionists that wanted to sleep in the comfortable berths, but I always felt more akin and closer to the ones that were willing to share their hardship with me, that were willing to share that cold space with me. And that's what we see. That's what it means to walk with the same feet, eat with the same mouth, and dwell in the same land. So I challenge you, and I invite you to find that's for those who don't want to be challenged, okay? But I invite you to find a creative place where you can nurture and encourage your friends. Be in creative space together. Find your community song and sing it as loud as you can. Sing for peace and sing for love. Sing for unity. But better yet, sing until, as the prophet says, justice rolls down like water, and righteousness like an ever-flowing stream. Now, I'm going to ask you to do something because it wouldn't be right for me not to ask you to sing right now. Right? You got me? Because I like this song because it talks about what we're building. And I changed the last line because I do that sometimes because I can borrow that. That's my music right there. So if you want to, you can stand on your feet. You know, go ahead, stretch your kneecaps or whatever you need to do. And I need y'all to repeat after me, and I need you to sing loud, because we need to sing some of this power down. I'm building me a home. 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 This earthly house is gonna soon decay, but the kingdom of God is here to stay. This earthly house is gonna soon decay, but the kingdom of God is here here to stay, is here to stay.